Project Green School Education as a promotion of sustainable use of cultural and natural heritage and resources. Project code 15.2.1001. The project is co-financed by the European Union through European Regional Development Fund under the Intergraph 5A Romania-Bulgaria program. The content of this movie does not necessarily represent the official position of the European Union. Imagine that you're alone on an island where no man has yet set his foot for years. What are you going to eat? Where are you going to sleep and what you're going to see? You can get this adventure and the answers of these questions only if you undertake the challenge to visit the Ibisha Island in the middle of the Danube River. It is the second largest river in Europe and the only one that flows from west to east. Ibisha is an island on the Danube River situated against the village of Donji Cibar, east of the town of Wam and approximately 40 kilometers away from Montana. The protected areas are currently organized on Ibisha Island. Protected area Cibar Island in northwest and maintained reserve Ibisha in southwest. Cibar Island is situated from the 716th to the 719th kilometer downstream the Danube River. It has an elongated shape. It is 3 kilometers in length with a maximum width of 0.55 kilometers. Its surface area is 0.9 square kilometers and it's placed 2013 in size. The island is located north of the Cibar lowland. A convention for the protection of the wetlands was signed in 1971 in Ramsar, Iran. Bulgaria is the 8th country which signed the convention. Since 2002, the Ibisha Island is included in the list of the protected sites. The purpose is to preserve the conices, floodplain forests and swamps that are specific for the Danube Islands, as well as the havens of rare and protected from extinction plants and animal species. Despite its small size, the island is of great importance for nature's development in Bulgaria. Plenty of plants live there, and the diversity of the species that represent the fauna is also quite significant. 5 invertebrate species and 22 species of fish and 8 species of amphibians and reptiles with conservation importance were found there. Ibisha Island has mostly conservation importance in connection with the provision of habitats to rare and endangered species of animals. The island was formed naturally under the influence of the river course. It was created by the sand and soil drifts where the course is not that strong. The highest point is the southeast part and rises to the 3-4 meters above the level of the river. It consists of river load, basically sand and slime. In case of high Danube waters, its lower parts are flooded. A canal with a minimum width of 600-700 meters separates it from the Bulgarian river bank, and another, which is 100 meters wide, separates it from the Romanian river bank. There are no road networks, eco-trails and separate tourist routes within the boundaries of the reserve and the protected area. That's why, from the Bulgarian side, you can only reach it by boat or small ship. The distance from the riverbank to the island is not a long one. The trip by boat lasts about 10 minutes. The island is protected area under the Protected Areas Act in the category Maintained Reserve. and the purpose is to preserve the forests and swamps specific for the Danube Islands, which are habitats and bases for development of protected bird species. These are Eurasian spoonbill cormorants, rich biodiversity with global importance. The representatives of the flora on the territory of the island are primarily three species, most of which are highly hydrophilic given the natural conditions in the area. In 1984, 9% of the whole island were declared a reserve. The international importance of the Ibisha Island is determined by the presence of the biggest mixed heron cormorant colony in Bulgaria. It is a place of global importance for the pygmy cormorant nesting here, and it's one of the 5 most important places in Bulgaria for the nesting black-crowned night heron, the squawk heron, and the Eurasian spoonbill. The bird richness, the so-called bird kingdom, is the utmost interest. Over 30 bird species were spotted on this small island, of which species the ones with the greatest importance for the nature conservation are the foreign-nosed duck, the great white heron, the Eurasian spoonbill, the squawk heron, and the Eurasian kingfisher. The island is inhabited by the ringed dove, which is a type of pigeon, the common cuckoo, the white wagtail, the nightingale, the blackbird, the grey crow, the Spanish sparrow, the chaffinch. The existence of a colony of herons and cormorants depends entirely on the floodplain forest on the island. They nest there, and the presence of shoals around the island and alongside the river helps them find their food easier. When there are high levels of water, fish enters the island through a canal and serves as food base for the birds from the nesting colony. Danube River is rich in fish. It is the staple food for everyone. The peace and quiet, as well as the habitat's conditions, match their criteria for occupied space and breeding. Cormorants occupy the top part of the poplar. There are plenty of poplars there. The herons occupy the elm trees, and the sparrows stay in the lower parts. Each summer, the specialists explore the flora and the fauna in the reserve and the protected area. Lately, they found more than 100 animal species, 40 of which are terrestrial and 11 aquatic. Invertebrates, fish, amphibians, and reptiles, 30 birds, in this number 22 nesting birds, 8 species of bats. A medical leech was recorded, which is a rare species. The majority of Ibisha is overgrown with floodplain forests of European black alder, white and frail willow, white and black poplar. In places, it is combined with poplar crops and tall grass. The forests are rich in plants and places made impassable by the pseudo liana and the blackberry. A large sandspit with no plants on it has formed on the western coast of the island. These are natural floodplain forests of white willow and white poplar. There is also black poplar. There is English elm, narrow-leaved ash, and plenty of leandra plants. Many trees are all wrapped with a kind of cover made of this wild vine, and these plants are that give a memorable appearance to the entire area. In addition, there are coves, there are so-called sand spits. They usually take shape in the quietest parts of the river, which is a protected area. In addition to the plants, various species of mosses could be seen on the island. 4 species of edible mushrooms can also be found on the island. 29 species of higher plants could also be found here. Some of them are of importance for the nature's conservation, or they're included in the Red Book of Bulgaria or in the supplement with the protected species. A rich biodiversity and a wonderful premise as a habitat for the waterfowl. Of the terrestrial invertebrates on the island, the fishing spider was found here. The find is extremely important for the researchers. So far, the species was considered extinct. Also, 8 species of mammals live on the island, of which 2 species of rodents, the wood mouse, the European water vole, and 2 species of insectivorous. These are the bile-colored shrew and lesser white-toothed shrew. 3 species of predators come around them: the fox, the nycteris, and the otter. The wild boar and the wolf can also be met here. And eventually, all these species come from the Romanian side. Last year's, the sand spit from the Romanian border is getting closer. We have information that the Romanians can come to our island without any problems, as from our side you can only come by a sailing vessel. The natural border of the Danube River is shifting its middle line because of the floods, the climate changes, and the level of the river. These are changes that happen not only here, but also alongside the big rivers. 8 species of bats were recorded on the territory of Ibisha Island, or a bit over 20% of a total of 33 species inhabiting Bulgaria. The bats are very important for the natural regulation and the members of nocturnal insects, many of which are harmful for the forest plantations and the agricultural crops around the river. All species of bats and their habitats are protected. But it does not mean that there is no one to disturb the peace of the animals that inhabited the island. The Ibisha Island is influenced by the forestry activities that are practiced on it. The clear felling, removing of the underwood, and afforestation with hybrid poplar have a negative impact on the floodplain forest around the river. Also, these changes have a negative influence on the nesting birds and their reproduction. The dangers for this island come mostly from the human impact. For example, unregulated hunting. People can enter by boats and poach. The hunting of protected species in the protected area, that is, in the western part of the island, is prohibited. Supposedly, people enter the area anyway. They do the same, they poach from the Romanian side too. The island is visited precisely because of the foxes and the wild boars that breed there. Shooting birds, the climate changes too, but mostly because of the human intervention. This is why the specific measures that are necessary for the preservation of the coastal habitats are the limitation of the felling and the afforestation with non-native species. The importance of Ibisha Island and the birds nesting there, the rich vegetation and the animals that inhabit it and that cannot be seen everywhere. Even in the school books, there are not enough photos of the species inhabiting the island, which you can easily encounter up close. That's why the opportunity to get closer to the great natural wealth by going to Ibisha Island will show you visually all that you have been reading about and watching before on the TV. It is interesting for the kids to come and get to know the island. Firstly, the nature is very beautiful, and for every such protected territory, the more untouched it is, the more beautiful it is. The trees are old and withered, but next to one of these, there could be a tree with an interesting shape and all covered with liana. It is clear to see that this is an abandoned, beautiful virgin island, and there is no human intervention in this part. The access to the island is allowed only after the border police has been informed. Once having set your foot on Ibisha, We must not forget that hunting there and staying for too long is prohibited. The purpose is to preserve and maintain the habitats of several rare species of birds: the great white pelican, the black heron, the black-crowned night heron, the squawk heron, the little egret, which are in their nesting period in the summer. And imagine that your young researchers will have the opportunity to set their foot on and get to know the island, to take a walk and observe its unbelievable nature, to see up close unknown birds, fish and plants. You need to have your tourist equipment, good mood and spirit of research with you. Yet, you will be at a place where people do not come very often. Project Green School Education as a promotion of sustainable use of cultural and natural heritage and resources. Project code 15.2.1001. The project is co-financed by the European Union through European Regional Development Fund under the Intergraph 5A Romania-Bulgaria program. The content of this movie does not necessarily represent the official position of the European Union.